Hey everyone, and welcome to the end of the week results show for week 3 of Fat Lad Ad to Fit Lad Ad Season 2. As you all know by now, my name's Ad, currently Fat Lad Ad, but hopefully not for too much longer because I'm on a quest to become Fit Lad Ad, another alter ego. And I'm doing that through a calorie controlled diet, which at the moment consists mostly of protein meal replacement shakes which are about 200 calories each, which I have instead of a normal breakfast and lunch, and I have a sensible evening meal. I'm also trying to incorporate exercise into my journey, which at the moment is mostly running, which I'm doing both with my wife and on my own a bit more intensely, and then I'm also doing some cycling, which at the moment is confined to my conservatory on my Zwift subscription and my trusty turbo trainer. I'm using an app called NutriCheck to track every calorie that I consume and every calorie that I earn back in the exercise that I do. And so far it's working, because in August 2021 I was 19 stone and 1 pound, and as of my last weigh-in, which was last Friday, I was 16 stone and 1 pound, so that's a loss of exactly 3 stone over about 4.5 months. So let's get on with this week's results show and see if I can add to that 3 stone loss. So as usual with the results show, I start off with my goal tracking, and this is how my goal tracking matrix stood last week. And as you can see, I really didn't consider myself having completed any of those goals last week, so none of them were marked off as progressing. This week though, I feel I have made progress. Let's start with my short-term health and well-being goal, which was to either shake off or come to terms with my injury that I've been suffering with the past few weeks, which is my sort of right hip stroke leg. As you can see, I'm considering this 50% complete, because whilst it's still there, it's still niggling away a little bit, I am managing to do pretty much the exercise I want to do, and it's not causing me too many problems. So at the very least, I think I am learning to adapt to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting it on 50% complete. If I have another good week next week, I'm going to put it up to 75% complete, and then if it gets better or at least no worse by the week after, I'm going to consider that 100% complete. So let's have a look and see how that goes in the next few weeks. Next up is my running goal, which is my short-term running goal, and that is to complete my None to Run program. Now you'll remember that basically before Christmas and before I picked up the niggle that I was just talking about, I pretty much had got to the end of this, and I was on the last week, and I'd done one of the runs in the last week, I think. But because I'd been off running for sort of 3 or 4 weeks, I decided to essentially, not start again, but basically go back a little bit. And not only that, as I've started running from the beginning with my wife, I'm doing more runs than I would normally. So what I'm doing is I started from week 5, and I'm doing basically a run from each week with every maybe twice a week, building up to essentially where I start finding it hard. And when I mean hard, it means that I either fail a run or I really struggle. And in that instance, then I'll start going back to following the plan properly, as in doing the 3 full runs of the week. But so far I've done run 7 and I found it pretty easy, so it'll be run 8 hopefully tomorrow, and I really hope that I get this program finished maybe before the end of January. So I've put that down as 60% complete because I feel I've finished run 7. Onto the cycling goals then, and this is the one that's really got me going this week. And on Sunday I basically completed my first short-term cycling goal, which is to complete a 30 kilometre ride on Zwift, which I did. and yeah, I didn't find it too tough. It was quite a flat route. It was about 120 meters of climbing over sort of 30. Well, it was 120 meters of climbing over 25 kilometers was the route, and then I did a little bit extra, so it was probably about 140 meters of climbing in total. So yeah, not a lot, and I found it relatively okay. I mean, 30 kilometers is not a lot really. Certainly for an outdoor ride, that would be quite a short ride for me. So, but on Zwift, obviously, it's a different ball game. You're basically pedaling the whole time. There's no sort of respite really. So I felt 30 kilometers was a reasonable target to start with, and yeah, I did it. I'm happy with that. So I've marked that as 100% complete. So I need to add a new goal in for that short-term cycling goal. And what I've decided to do, because that ride, whilst 30 kilometres wasn't that much in the way of climbing, and one of the things I'd quite like to do at some point is do a race or climb up to Zwift. I want to up my climbing, and I've sort of done all the sort of flat routes on Zwift, or flattish routes, so I'm now going to start building up some of the climbing. So the target I've decided to set myself is to do a ride, doesn't matter how long, of over 300 meters of climbing, which I think, again, is not a huge amount for most people, but for me, that might be a reasonable challenge. So we'll see how I get on. I may do this quite quickly. As I say, I think I've done around over 200 meters before when I first started Zwift, so I don't think it'll be too difficult. So yeah, so I think I might try that on Sunday, if I'm honest, and maybe try and get it done this week as well. So moving on then to my calories on NutriCheck, and it's kind of the same old story for me, I'm afraid, in that, Friday, which is my celebration day, I've already talked about that I basically sort of let things go on a Friday, especially on a Friday evening meal, where I usually have a takeaway, but maybe go out or something like that. Basically, I don't worry about what I'm eating. Last Friday, I had probably one of the biggest takeaways I think I've ever had. I don't even want to tell you how much food there was, but it was sickening. I felt so guilty afterwards that I'm not going to do that again. And essentially, what I'm going to try and do going forward is, while I still want to celebrate on a Friday, I want to do it in moderation. It's still going to be a takeaway or a meal out, but I'm really going to try and moderate it so that I'm not constantly on the back foot for the week, because I've had a huge sort of 4,000 calorie takeaway on the Friday. So this week, I've just had my takeaway for this week. I won't spoil what it was. It was still a good treat, and it was still a lot of calories, but I'm hoping that it means that I've got a better start for this week. Saturday was the only other day that was a little high, and that was because I had that chocolate bar at cinema, which I think I told you about in my catch-up vlog. But as you can see, every other day was as near as damn it, if not under, my 1711 calorie goal. Now, I'm not even considering it exercise at this point. I know I said in previous videos that I do count my calories that I burnt, but actually I feel like 1711 calories is quite generous for the day, especially with having protein shakes. So I'm not really worried about the sort of exercise calories. I'm not thinking that that it's all right to go over, and that it's all right, I've got those calories in the bank for exercise. So my goal is basically for the 6 days is to stay under the 1711 without exercise, and the exercise is a bonus. I know that's contrary to what I said, but it just seems to be working, and I worry that if I do eat up to those up over those exercise calories, then I basically won't lose weight, and that'll be essentially like I'll just keep getting maintained every week. So at the moment, I'm going to try and stick to under 1711 Saturday to Thursday without considering the exercise calories. In terms of my activities, I'm not going to show a big list of activities like I did last week, because I kind of already did that on the midweek vlog. I'm not quite settled on how I'm going to show my activities in this section of the results show. I'd kind of like to show a summary in terms of, the miles travelled, the time, the speeds, all that, that kind of metrics rather than calories. And I'd like sort of like a weekly summary graph to be able to show you, but things like Strava and Garmin Connect and other services like that all have that capability, but they all work on a standard week in terms of like Monday to Sunday, and there's no way, as far as I can tell, comment if I'm wrong and suggest a way to do it, that there's no way to sort of set a custom week in terms of reporting your exercise. So what I think I'm going to have to do, I already have the sort of dashboard that I built for tracking my weight loss, and that's powered by a SQL database. So what I'm going to do is probably just going to add another set of tables that can hold my exercise data, which I'll sort of download on a weekly basis from Strava, and then build another dashboard that reports that in a hopefully quite sexy way. But I'm not there yet, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get it done next week, but it's unlikely because I am really very busy with work. Finally then, it's man versus scales in my weekly weigh-in, and this is how it went this week. So yes, that is exactly what I set out to do, and that is to smash through the 3 stone loss barrier, because if you remember last week I was sort of just under by 0.2 of a pound. So I smashed through the 3 stone loss barrier, and I'm also under the 16 stone barrier. So from now on, my weight is going to start with 15 stone or less going forward, and I never ever want to get into the 16 stones again. Hopefully, I mean, I could have a bad week this week and it goes back up because I'm quite close, but the aim is to never get back into 16 stone and hopefully push on for more. So that's a loss of £2 or 900 grams for you metric lovers out there. And yeah, I'm really happy with the loss of £2. I'm quite far into my weight loss journey now, and I did expect my weight loss to start to slow down a little bit unless I sort of change things up dramatically. But I'm really happy with a sort of 1 to 2 pound loss every week. And if I keep that up, I'll be really happy with where I'll be at the end of season 2. And it means that next week, providing I have any loss at all, I will smash through the 20 kilogram loss barrier, which, again, for metric lovers is quite a milestone to lose. I may even get into double figures in kilograms. I think not, though. I'm still probably, a couple of weeks, maybe even 3 weeks away from that. But you never know, if I have a really, really good week next week, I could make it to 99.9 kilos, which would be awesome. On that note then, please join me next week to see if I can achieve that, or indeed any loss, as I try and become Fit Lad Ad. Work is still crazy busy though, as I settle in and get my feet under the table and sort of learn to say no to people giving me work, which means that I'm going to struggle to find the time to make interesting and inspiring content. But you never know, hopefully I'll get out and about the weekend and be able to film some stuff, and just generally remember to get my camera out of my pocket and start recording some stuff. Anyway, there will be some running, there'll be some Zwifting, there'll be some protein shakes, and hopefully there'll be some more weight loss at the end of the week. For now though, I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my Friday night. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you in week 4.